Okay, we have a question here from Steve Jackson.
Do we think that the issue with medication is race day medication or out of competition use of clenbuterol and other such drugs?
Public perceptions perspective, I think actually the public is misinformed about medications in general. I think there needs to be a rebranding of what medications in racing really is. Horses are like any athletes, and the public need to be informed of this, and there is a need for therapeutic medications in racing just so that they can perform and get through the rigors of training. And to somehow get this across to the public, I think is crucial, and I think there definitely is a place for these medications. I mean, any athlete, whether it be Rafa Nadal in Wimbledon this year, he would have needed injections. It was quite openly discussed that he needed injections in his back to get through the tournament. Had he not had those injections, we'd have been deprived of sort of an athlete at his best, and I think we want to be very careful that we don't lose the quality horses that need help to prolong their career, and it's in their best interest.
As a racetrack operator, I completely agree with what Matt just said. He mentioned we don't want to lose these horses, and I mentioned one of the issues that we face is generating large fields. Large fields, increase handle. Bettors want to bet on large fields. And to eliminate the therapeutic medications that they're known to not, when a horse receives bute 48 hours before a race, the amount that's regulated is not something that will cover up a major problem in a racehorse. It's not going to cause the horse to run through a fracture. If they're going to break down, they're going to break down with or without the amount of bute that they're receiving. So I think it is essentially an education issue regarding the public. And we just need to educate them as to what the horses are actually receiving, and that these aren't drugs that are hurting them or will have a negative side effect, nor will they actually enhance the performance. Rather, they will just help them do their job better.
From an owner's point of view, I'd have to agree with both Lindsay and Matt there. If there's anything can assist with prolonging a horse's career and keeping owners retaining in the industry and keeping them still interested and involved and still investing, would benefit the industry as a whole. So, yeah.
From the point of view of the media, I completely agree with what Matt said about the rebranding and changing the language that is used for these medications from within our industry. And I think that the media, internet and print, can play a huge role in changing people's perceptions and realizing what the uses of these medications might actually be.
Okay, thank you. A question here from Michael Banahan.
I just wanted to know from probably several perspectives, the racetrack owners, the breeders and the owners, what's your perception on the direction excuse me, that the racetracks are going with the surfaces they're putting in from the synthetic surfaces and the original dirt tracks that most American tracks had in the past, and is it going to help in the handle with the catastrophic injuries that we've had in the past? And from an owners and breeders perspective, do we need to breed a different type of horse to compete on these different surfaces, or should we go back to the original race tracks that were in America, the dirt surfaces, and whether the synthetic surfaces have been successful or not?
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, from a breeder's point of view, we want to see horses racing as safely as possible. So if the synthetic surfaces provide a safer surface, and they appear to be, they're in their infancy, but they appear to be more forgiving to horses with slight conformational faults. So if these, the issue with them I see though is that they need to be either integrated fully or not at all. It's the issue of some places have them, some places don't, that causes this division in the breed where you're either trying to breed a turf horse, a synthetic horse, or a dirt horse, I think that's what's causing a lot of problems for breeders right now.
From an owner's point of view, I'll have to agree with Michael there a bit, but you would just have to, if it is assisting with prolonging a horse's career, yes, it is beneficial for an owner because you're still seeing your horse go around and you're still going to the races and supporting that, but you would have to just, it is quite difficult for a bit more of a trainer's point of view, but also an owner who is paying up for the horse to see your horse get train on a synthetic surface or a dirt surface and go and race on a turf surface. There's got to be consistency across the board, which is kind of lacking at the moment, which is becoming a bit of an issue. So,
I think from the public's perspective, what took place in Santa Anita this year wasn't ideal with the fast dirt track. I think the catastrophic injuries during race day increased from 2 to 11 last year when it was a synthetic. I mean, the only compromise I could see would be if you wanted to retain that quality dirt racing, is to maybe introduce training tracks on the actual race courses as synthetic, so that you do more cross training. Because I just don't think it's ideal that if you have those dirt surfaces that produce those bad images, you're not going to do anything for the sport in the long run.
Okay, oh, sorry, go ahead.
From the point of view of the media, I think we need to be doing whatever we can to show that we're protecting the safety of our horses. So whatever surface we're using, whether that safest surface is dirt, synthetic turf, we need to be doing what's best for the horses and doing practices to show that we are doing things in the best interest of the safety of the horses. You know, people will say certain surfaces are better for handicappers, different people prefer surfaces for different reasons, but we need to be doing what's foremost important for the horse.
As Kelsey just mentioned about handicapping, I think from a wagering perspective, synthetic surfaces can be quite confusing for horse players, as they, obviously everyone knows they tend to play quite differently to dirt, and a lot of times dirt form doesn't hold up on a synthetic surface. So I think from a gambler and a horse player's perspective, you know, they can be quite confusing, and so I'd say that horse players might be a little bit reluctant to wager on synthetic races versus races that are on dirt and turf where they feel more comfortable handicapping the past performances of those races. So,
okay, question here or comment from Bill Wong.
Thanks, Claudia. I have a question about sales. In Europe, like in autumn, they have a large-scale horse in training sales. Do you think, and that attracts a lot of interest from Middle East, Australia, and Asia. Do you think there's a room for a large horse in training sales in America to attract some interest for American bloodstock?
From a sales company's perspective, I think that the way that the sales are set up now, the way that we have spaced out 2-year-old sales, I think that that's probably in the best interest of those trying to buy, as you have smaller, more select sales in different areas for different people to be able to reach them with more convenience. I think a larger scale sale would perhaps it would diminish the business of each of those particular sales companies.
From the international's point of view, buying horses in training, you want to make sure that they can easily adapt to the conditions that will be presented to them when they are moved across overseas. So basically, at the moment, the way American racing is with the medications, the surfaces, the style of racing, it's very hard for someone in Hong Kong or Australia to think of it as a good opportunity to buy a tried racehorse to bring back to those racing jurisdictions and be successful with. A good step forward would probably be the banning of Lasix, which would then probably bring the racing style more into line with places like Hong Kong, Singapore. But until that happens, it's hard to see it being anywhere near as popular as buying a tried racehorse from Europe to go and race in places such as those.